Hello, welcome to Facebook Live, BT Sport Score on BT Sport 1 and on Freeview this afternoon and on Twitter, streaming live all afternoon as ever. John Hartson, Chris Sutton with me, Dean Saunders and Paul Ince. Let's just reflect on Celtic Rangers, which has finished 0-0. Celtic with the ascendancy first half, Rangers in the second.
And it will feel like a win for Rangers. They actually should have won it second half. Unbelievable chances he should have buried.
They've got a little sprinkle of quality,
big players,
not top-end quality, but a little sprinkle of quality. If you work hard,
I think they'll be glad of the winter break, but you have to say credit to Rangers for their performance.
Yeah, what did you think, John? Because first half, Sinclair in particular had a couple of great chances, didn't he?
Yeah, the good chances, in particular for Sinclair, who's not playing at the level he was playing at last season. But you could argue they should have been out of sight in the first half, really. 2 or 3 goals at least. Not clinical enough. And then they go in at half-time, 0-0. Rangers, they'd have been buoyed at half-time because they're probably thinking they should be behind. And to be fair to them, it was a spirited performance from Rangers. It was they kept going till the very, very end, and they maybe could have nicked it as well.
There was a bit of booing after, wasn't there?
Well, certainly.
Do you think that's right?
Well, I
mean, consider the record that they've done. There was a bit of booing.
Yeah, because I think this last month Celtic haven't performed at the level which the fans have expected, and that's what happens. I mean, we all know at a big club, and it was poor. This is a Rangers side that have been beaten by, the likes of Hamilton, St Johnstone, humiliated, and Celtic haven't done enough. And you have to say, I think they'll be glad of the break, but they were poor today. Absolutely.
Well, how about this for a good stat? John Hartson scored the winning goal 4 Old Firm games on the bounce. He scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
Told me earlier.
Yeah.
So what about you, Chris? You must have
been 5, though.
bagged a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, Dean.
Yeah, I thought you would.
I'll tell you after.
When we get into the programme, we're going to discuss in depth what Virgil van Dijk could do for Liverpool. He is at Anfield today, so don't particularly want to go down the Van Dijk line now. As you want to go down the Southampton line now, which is just whether this whole selling of their best players, summer after summer, January after January, and changing the manager regularly is just beginning to catch up with them now, 2 points clear of the relegation zone. Do you fear a bit for them, the way that policy maybe is beginning to have an effect?
I think it's always worked for them in the past. I think now, because in a situation now where they're in a perilous position, that people start questioning the Lanas and people like that and Clydes and now Van Dijk. But I'll probably be more a bit about talking about the managers keep changing the paint. Puro last year, I think they finished 8th last year.
Yeah.
And they keep swapping and changing the managers. A bit like Watford do, but it seems to work for Watford. And the other for Southampton, it doesn't at all. And I just think you've got to try and have some stability at a football club. We see it at Swansea and all these other clubs. You keep swapping and changing. Players don't know whether they're coming or going. I'm not sure whether the Van Dijk situation has helped the team. One moment he's in, then he's not playing.
When you look at this strike force,
it's not bad.
Even now, you've got Tadic, Austin, Redmond, Gabardini. Who else they got? They got another one there.
Yeah, Austin's out for a couple of months. They've got Shane Long, who hasn't scored. Yeah, well, he doesn't score.
If it carries on, the Austins and the Gabbardinis, they are the next ones to bring in massive amounts of money in the market. They might struggle to hold on to all them in January.
Let's
get it right. Look, I think you have to say he seems to be the most uninspiring manager. You listen to him.
Pellegrino?
Yeah, absolutely. Said at the time they should be careful what they wish for when Puel went, and he was brought in to play a different brand of football. That hasn't materialised. They are bang in trouble. But he doesn't seem like an inspirational sort of guy to me, Pellegrino, when he talks after games. And they've been sucked in. They're not playing good football. There's a lack of confidence. They've just got rid of their best defender, and they are in a relegation scrap.
5:30 kickoff live on BT away to Manchester United, where, of course, Jose Mourinho, this was the sequence. It's one of the quotes of the year. There's no question about it after the draw with Burnley. So a reporter puts it to him very fairly, because he's obviously talking about how much money Man City have spent, but you've spent 300 million, to which his answer is, it is not enough. It is not enough.
It's not enough compared to what Manchester City are playing, but
it's not so much less than Manchester
City. It's not a less.
Though,
I think what you look at is that when you look at the fact that Pep's team, a lot of those players there played last season. Silva, Aguero. He's only added 2, 3 or 4, but to save 300 million is not enough. I like to have 300 with our management. You, Dean.
It's a wind-up, isn't it?
Is it a wind-up?
What can I say? He knew the question was coming, and he thought, what I'll do is I'll say, I need another 300. Just so everybody goes,
Is that not a message?
Is that a joke?
Is that not a
joke
message
or what?
to Ed Woodward?
Yeah,
Is that what-
I can't see Man United spending £600 million. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a rubbish excuse,
a
isn't it?
rubbish excuse.
Because they've dropped points against Huddersfield. How much is their budget? Burnley, Leicester, you know, inferior sides budget-wise. So, you know, it's not the head-to-head against Manchester City why they're 15 points behind. It's dropping points in other games. Is that what United fans really want to hear? That defeatism? We can't touch City because they spend that sort of money.
We're the poor cousins.
Oh, come on.
It's a bit like Inter. No, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is Man United fans want to be seen competing with Manchester City fans.
Absolutely.
They don't be like the way Mourinho's dealing with it at the moment. I don't think it's the right way to deal with it. But at the same token, I'm not sure the players he's brought in anyway are good enough anyway compared to what Pep's brought in.
So therefore, that's Mourinho's choice.
Who are you talking about there? Because Pogba's good enough.
Pogba's world class, but
Lukaku?
I mean, the jury's still out, Lukaku. I mean, how many world class players have Man United got? I don't see quite as many as I see at Manchester City.
So Pogba's world class.
So then you're talking about Manchester Manchester City's recruitment has been better then?
I think so, yes, I do.
He was also talking about the fact that Manchester City are spending 54 million on fullbacks. He says they're paying
One who hasn't played.
strikers' prices for fullbacks.
One who's barely played, Mendy.
Yeah, Mendy's barely played.
Well, that's the way Pep likes to play. He likes to get his full-backs forward. So I think when he went to the club, initially, he thought to himself, I need two marauding full-backs, almost to play like wingers. He needed a top-class goalkeeper, which he's got. And for me, Jose Mourinho could spend another 300 million, may still not get close to Man City. That's how good I rate this Man City team.
£75 million for Virgil van Dijk, a world record for a defender. You've been getting in touch with Jules with your reaction to that signing.
Yes, that's because he as well is going to be at Anfield today watching his brand new teammates taking on Leicester City. So we put a poll out on our BT Sports Score Twitter page to ask you guys what you thought of the money spent on him. And 28% of you said he was not worth the 75 million price tag, but 72% think that it is silly money. And we can hear what Liverpool and Southampton fans have to say about that now.
So Virgil van Dijk, being a Liverpool player, is huge for the club. It's a world record for a defender. It really does help solve our defensive woes. You can really see him forging a partnership with either Joe Gomez or John Matip going forward. I'm really excited to see how that goes.
So Saints now have millions upon millions of pounds in the bank account, and I'd love to see this reinvested in the squad. Certainly some more attacking prowess wouldn't go amiss. I'd actually welcome a player like Theo Walcott back. I think he could do better at Southampton than he's done at Arsenal, and hopefully he'd join up midfield with attack and bring us a few more goals as well.
Dean, understandably, we're really interested in the price tag. But if he plays well, he's worth it whether he costs 20 million, 75 million or 100 million. If he plays badly, it doesn't matter whether he costs 20 million, 75 million or 100 million.
I think he will make a difference. He will make a difference, but there's more problems than that. If I was Van Dijk, I'd be asking the manager, who's playing next to me?
Yeah. Who's playing behind me?
Who's playing left back? Because, no disrespect to the lad, Moreno, he would make you look bad as a left-side centre-back. He's never in the right position. He goes marauding before they've got total possession of the ball, before they've even won it properly. And you're left in the left channel as a centre-back when probably your weakness is your pace and mobility with top-class strikers running at you. So the two in front, there's a problem there, Chan and Henderson. The whole back four. So you'll make a difference, but there's more surgery needed.
Karius is back in goal today.
Strange one, isn't it?
That is that is interesting because you might rotate between cups, which he does. That's fine. But there's no reason to rotate a goalkeeper. I know it's a busy time of year. You might rotate an outfield player 4 games in 11 days, but there's no reason to rotate a goalkeeper, is there?
It's quite strange, isn't it? You know,
is he definitely on the bench, Mignolet?
Yes, he is. Yeah, Mignolet's on the bench.
Do that to goalkeepers, can he?
Listen, I mean, obviously the goal against Arsenal in midweek, where he's flat top like Mignolet, he doesn't look. The last couple of games I've watched, he doesn't look so secure at the moment. And that can affect your back four.
Yep.
You want your goalkeeper to be commanding and demanding, and he doesn't do that for me. But for him not to be starting after winning, baffles me, that one.
75 million, just a number. Should we stop obsessing about it?
Had people listened to me a couple of years ago, they could have got him. I could have saved clubs 50, 60 million pounds.
What did you say?
Well, I said he was every bit as good as John Stones, and he'd go for big money. 13 million was a snip. for Southampton.
And there were enough big clubs in England who were alerted to it.
And what people thought was it's the Scottish League, and they didn't judge him on his ability, and it's cost Liverpool an extra 6.
Will he have a massive impact at Liverpool?
I think he will have a big impact. I think he'll need to play games and get a rhythm. I don't think he had a long-term injury, didn't he? Came back and has been in and out. But I think now that the deal is done, he will certainly improve Liverpool. But how could he not improve Liverpool when they have the likes of Laverick?
Well, is there a question mark about his attitude? Because he's just down tools at Southampton. He's down tools. Official.
So what do you mean then?
Well, when the chips are down, is he going to be the right character for the club?
I know why you're saying that, but he so obviously wanted to go, and they didn't let him go in the summer.
What about when Sterling went to Manchester City from Liverpool?
Yeah, but Van Dijk, right?
tools.
You can say what you like, his reasons. You get paid to give 100% every day, every Saturday.
What about Sanchez at Arsenal? He played well the other day, but he hasn't had a great season, has he? He clearly is.
I think Sanchez can only play one way. That's just in him.
But he hasn't played that way every game,
for money.
has he?
Well, I think he's just in a bit of bad form, but I don't think it's through lack of effort. From what I can gather, Southampton's fans have told me that Van Dijk down tools because he wants to leave. He wants to look in his own way.
Well, that's what happens.
Half-expected, Dean.
That's what happens now, doesn't it? You've got all the power. The players have got all the power.
Well, I have to
Mark,
say...
are we not just saying that...
You never down tools.
That's the market now.
Yeah,
That is the market. If you want the best defenders, supposedly the best players in the world... You have now got to go and pay astronomical money for them. It's not Van Dijk's fault. He doesn't decide what he's worth.
Sure.
But Paul's been a manager, and I've been a manager. I look at that situation from a manager's point of view,
I understand
not a fan.
why you do.
And I'm thinking he'll do that to me. The minute I go against him or something's not right, he'll do that to me.
Well, the other argument is he may be so desperate. A manager could look at that and think he is so desperate to come to us. That is why he's acting in that way. He may have been influenced by an agent. I'm not having these down tools, though.
Well, that's what I've been told. He's not in that team.
Level. But that's what supporters say, isn't it? He's not trying. He's down tools.
What Southampton have done, though, Chris, they've held out and held out, not letting him go to Liverpool. What they are now is they're £25 million better off than what they would have been in the summer. It's ridiculous, really. So in the space of 5 or 6 months, his fee's gone up another £25 million.
I want to touch on one more thing, which is this, which really comes out of the Newcastle-Man City game, when Newcastle had 22% of the ball and had 2 shots on goal, which is this feeling that are there too many teams who, when they come up against the top 6, go, we haven't got a hope. Let's just keep our powder dry for when we're playing teams around us. And the evidence is the team, if you want, the evidence the team used today. Stoke 6 changes to play away at Stoke, bearing in mind they're playing Newcastle on New Year's Day. Brighton make 5 changes from losing at Chelsea, because today they were at Newcastle, and Newcastle makes 7 changes from the Man City game. So there's the evidence. You look at it, you could hide behind, well, rotation at this time of year, or you could say, right, Newcastle thought we're never going to beat Man City, but Brighton today, right, now we make some changes to give ourselves a better chance and a stronger team.
Yeah, I think as a manager, I'm not sure from Chris or Dino, but you kind of look at teams in blocks and think, right, at 6 games you might want to get 7, 8 points. If you get something at Arsenal or City, then great. But that's not going to be where we're going to stay in this league. It's the Newcastles, the Brightons, the Stokes, teams like that. And I was talking to Dino before, and I said it's hard for teams like Newcastle, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to open yourself up and get beat 5 or 6, because if you go into the next game against Brighton, it can shoot your confidence, and so it's a tough one. But then you look at Huddersfield and you think, well, they get an early goal, got something to defend, and they end up beating Man United.
It goes back to Huddersfield, doesn't it?
I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, as a manager, it's hard to do. Do you go hell for leather against Manchester City when you're not going to get the ball anyway?
Well, Newcastle have a plan, and we're criticising them for having a plan.
It's not just Newcastle. Southampton did it. West Ham did it.
But Palace had a right go at Arsenal.
I think we've got.
Yeah, sure, they lost. They lost 3-2. They didn't lose 1-0.
But for the first 25 minutes, Palace were just sat deep.
They were, and were they not therefore much better, because actually when they went on the front foot, then they caused Arsenal.
Too easy to say that. So then we're saying that sides should open up and go toe-to-toe with Manchester City, lose 8-0, but then say, do you know what, we had a real good go there. We were really positive in the mindset, but we got
Premier League's built on the ability for anybody to beat anybody when they're at home in particular.
No, it's about.
I do think we've got the best league in the world. And that's part of the reason that the bottom team can beat the top team, and they have a go. And we can be called tactically naive at times, but people turn up to watch the games. The stadiums are all full. You watch the Italian games, where one team sits back like Newcastle does every week. There's nobody in the stadiums. That's why our league's the best.
You have a control.
That's why you can say you're tactically naive, but
No, you have a controlled go, don't you?
yeah.
No, but you did. They did. They were one down. They had a chance in the 85th minute. Gale was there. They had the equaliser.
Palace had a controlled go at Arsenal.
He's a genius.
Chris, would you go and watch that?
I did.
Would you go and watch that? Every week. Newcastle playing like that against...
But they're not going to play like that every week.
For that type of football,
Mark,
where teams give up against the top
I always
teams.
think, Dean, you're better off having a goal. Because really, you're not expected to get anything anyway. Stoke are not really expected to get anything today at Stoke. They've made 6 changes. I'm doing Chelsea-Stoke today. Yeah. They've made 6 changes, and they probably will still get beat. But get beat having a go. They've got good forward players, Shaqiri, Moting, Diouf. Yeah. They've got threats, Stoke. I know they've conceded 41
Choupo-Moting's not playing today, Shaqiri's not playing today, Crouch is not playing today, Joe Allen's not playing today.
They just pack in the midfield and pack in the defensive.
Try and land a few punches early on and see try and get 2-0 up.
Anyway, so at least get beat.
Yeah, but I think as a manager, there's kind of phases when you in actually how you set your plans out. So they're thinking first 45 minutes, let's just try and stay in the game. You do that, and the next process you go to another one.
Just listen to what Mark Hughes has just said. I've got to protect my key players for Monday, which is the New Year's Day game with Newcastle. Basically backing up exactly what we're talking about. This game is a freebie. We'll probably lose 2-0. If we do, it doesn't do us any long-term harm.
Long as they win on Monday.
Exactly.
As long as they win on Monday.
There's a slight difference, though. It's 48 hours.
Yeah.
Well, we're back into feeling sorry for footballers playing twice in 3 days territory.
You know, if you lose to
surely
City,
the word is a
with those
control
teams.
go. Palace had a control go at Arsenal. They're a bit compliant for 25 minutes.
Do you know what the Newcastle players were told? Do you think Benitez just said, we're just going to sit here, don't attack at all?
Yeah.
I think probably knowing Rafa, he knew exactly what his plan was.
Forward, Chris.
Hang in
Centre
there.
forward was 20 yards in his own half.
Yeah.
They stayed in
Mark
the game.
in there,
They stayed in the
deep-line
game.
midfield player.
And
agree
there's
with
nothing wrong with that, staying in the game.
They stayed in the game, although they missed a load of chances.
From a player's point of view, to get beat 1-0 by City at home will give them confidence.
Yeah.
But they had the chance. And he would have gone in and said, you know,
1-1.
if we get a chance, if we, you know, we need to take it. They didn't take it.
One of the 2 shots on goal they had. We're going to be talking much more about this 2:45 BT Sport 1 live on Freeview as well on Twitter all afternoon if you're taking your Christmas presents back because they weren't quite what you wanted. And also we're talking about Carlos... what are you pointing at? Dino's shoes. Carlos Carvajal, Swansea's 5th permanent manager in 2 years. We'll get the Swansea boys' view on that. See you a little bit later.